I wish that the next parliament of Kenya has a lot of bright people, whether young or old. How do you take a majority leader who removes you from the seat just because you're a friend of Rigathi Gachagua? Is that being bright? So, of course, we have a few dwarfs there, academic one, the likes of Kimani Chungwa. You have Silvana Sosoro. Those are jokers. Anytime, those are jokers. Yeah. No apologies, jokers.
Hey there, and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. Always a good time. And today we have one of the youngest MPs we have in Kenya. Super excited to have him around. And if you don't know him, I'm sure you've heard the name Ngogoyo. Maybe you don't know the face, but you know the name. Gentlemen, karibu sana.
Thank you.
How is Kiserian?
Excellent.
Will tell your people something, especially those who don't know where you represent.
Yeah, so I come from Kajiado North. Kajiado North is one of the oldest constituencies we have, hived from the larger Kajiado. Coming all the way from Ongata Rongai, Masai Lodge, we have Ngoroi area, we have Kiserian, Matasia, Ngong, Zambia, Mbulbul. And of course, it carries towns like Gataka, where we have a lot of students from Cooperative College. It's a peri-urban constituency, having both urban setups and also rural setups. It's actually at the slope of the Ngong Hills. I think once we change the name of the constituency, we'll call it the Ngong Hills constituency.
You want to change the name?
Because, yeah, we are allowed by law. When you do delimitation of boundaries, you can change the boundary or the name. The name Ngong Hills is one of the names that people know. Tell them about Ngong Hills, almost everybody will know, but sometimes they think Kajiado North is somewhere far. So it's one of the constituencies that was represented by the former Vice President, Professor George Saitoti, who was born and raised there. And I'm glad to have a chance to serve in this constituency for the last 2 years. I also served there as an MCA for the last 10 years. So I'm grateful to have an opportunity to serve people. And I was born and raised in Kiserian.
So you know the ins and outs of...
Yeah. So Kiserian, Slaughterhouse, that is where we were born and raised.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How did you end up being in Parliament as a very young person? Because not many people get the chance.
I think I was promoted, having served as an MCA, and people saw what I did back in 2013. All the way to 2022. And in the run-up to 2022 election, I offered myself to be the MP. I think I put a good show when I was an MCA, having done a few things that were not there. I had a ward, being the first MCA for the ward called Olkeri. I think one of my greatest achievements, it was a ward that didn't have a medical facility. You know, no dispensary, no hospital. And I'm grateful today that we have level 3 health center at Matasia with a fully functional maternity wing. And I think that gave me the basis of being in leadership and getting another chance to serve people. And also, you know, I think I'm a good advocate. You know, I could represent your issues better maybe than you would do.
Okay,
So
the people of
I know how
will tell us.
Yeah. I think they're the judges, but I think I can do fairly a good job.
All right. Interesting. What would you say was the biggest challenge switching from an MCA leadership to now the national level leadership?
Of course, you know, when you are in leadership, you have a lot of critics. You've interacted with people, and of course, a lot of naysayers. And, you know, people would just think this is just a local leader. But the beauty of people is that they can differentiate. People can tell where there is leadership and where there is none. We were so many, about 19 candidates. Actually, to be precise, 16 candidates. So out of 16, the 15 of them were not elected, and I got elected with a huge difference. I think the one who was behind me has a difference of about 15,000 votes. But you also realize we have a very young population in my constituency. These are people who are going to school or have finished school. People are looking for employment. And such people, they put their hopes on somebody who they believe can usher them into an era or dispensation or opportunities that they so wish to get. And I think that's the reason I was singled out by so many. I'm also a very good fighter. I'm not your kind of leader that would just keep quiet on anything. When I was an MCA, I fought back with the governors and the county government and brought substantial issues that we can say this one without my intervention do not have happened. On issue of land rates, on issue of for instance, rates, normal rates on properties, and also licenses. Those are the basic issues that maybe people and county governments find themselves in conflict most of the times. And I think I did my part, and I thank God. The last 2 years have also been good for me as a member of parliament. And Parliament is a good place to serve. You affecting national legislation has also been very insightful to me.
The other day we had MCAs saying, no, we are making very little money compared to our people who serve on the national platform and even on the governance space. What is your take on that as someone who went through the same phase and now have gone on the national space? And also considering maybe, is there enough work for us as Kenyans to fund that amount of funding?
I believe it is not vertical. It varies from different places. For instance, an MCA in Nairobi cannot be compared to an MCA, for instance, in Nyeri. An MCA in Nakuru might not be compared to an MCA in Turkana. Some MCAs have long distances to cover. They have large areas to represent. Some have serious population to represent. The MCA, for instance, for Nairobi CBD, Starehe constituency, affects a different caliber of people. He might not be the one doing Amaram Road. He might be required to do tarmac, to legislate on different issues as others. So I think based on responsibilities, there are some who might be not in a position to be able to do what they're supposed to do very effectively. When they were county councils and municipal councils and city councils, remember the remunerations were based on the capacity of the specific entities that they served, if it was county, municipal, or city council. For instance, in Nairobi, a councillor will earn about 160,000 based on his responsibility and the ability of the municipal council. Going forward, I think what I would suggest is that because counties are independent units, why can't you let the county government afford what it can? Because some can afford, some cannot. You go to a county like Isiolo has 20 MCAs. You go to Lamu, Lamu has 10 MCAs. I think based on its diversity, the issues will be a bit different. So, but now there's an entity called SRC, which determines their privileges, and some of the issues have been sorted out, some not. My only worry is that they take care of the speakers a lot and leave out sometimes the MCA. An MCA is a crucial part, because if you want to affect counties, you cannot do it without the MCAs. And if you lose the MCAs, you might lose the legislation part.
So that's why we often see MCAs bringing motions of impeachment
to the governors. Yeah, because you see now, once they are aggrieved, remember they are not, unlike, you see, Parliament is an institution that over time, people have sat down. There's a commission called the Parliamentary Service Commission that looks into the affairs of members of parliament. That even if I'm not supporting government, my privileges will still remain. And I will serve in the opposition, for instance, without any interference. That lacks for MCAs. And on that part, I sympathize with them. Because sometimes if you don't agree with the governor, probably your constituency loses out on bursaries. Your ward loses out on, road maintenance, which should not be the case. So they might need a bit of tightening of a number of issues so that they deliver. I think also going forward, the issue of proper capacity building for them. I was trained by my county assembly, and I think it has contributed a lot to what I know today and how I'm legislating in the National Assembly. The platform that I have has been built over time by an MCA. So if they invest on those two things, I think For MCAs, it can work. It's a good system. It's a robust place. It's somewhere somebody can build the capacity as a leader. The 10 years I've been an MCA have made me the person I am today. And I thank Kajiado County for Assembly for, brooding me up to what I am now.
Okay, very interesting to hear that. And at least from your experience, I mean, we've had this fight of devolution and whether it's important or not important. I mean, there's of course two sides to a coin. There's the pros and the cons. But from your experience, how different should Kenya be if we are to fully implement devolution?
Devolution is good, and I just saw the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga trying to criticize national government, NGCDF, and trying to give his opinion that let's empower county governments. Remember, devolution is good, but if you devolve corruption, that's a problem. Devolution is good, but if devolution does not serve the purpose for which it was meant for, then you have a problem. There are counties that are working. I think I admire Governor Kang'ata. The former Governor Kivutha Kibwana had a lot to his leadership. For it not to be scanty, what you need is that the basic understanding what were counties meant to do. There are a number of functions that were given to them. Health, for instance, agriculture, for instance. Those are functions that are 100% devolved. That today, about hospitals, you cannot ask me as a member of parliament. I can only guide you to the county government. That's a role that the county has 100%. Now, if it is not working, and for instance, it's an issue of resources, let's work on how we increase the resources. My only problem is when you send money to counties and the functions that governors are supposed to do are not being done, then we have a problem. I also have a problem when national government, for instance, I saw in yesterday's newspaper advertising for extension of a certain hospital, maternity wing. Why does the president want to do a job that is not his? He's supposed to deal with referrals. Referrals are institutions that go beyond the maternity wings, the dispensary. This is the place where we meet the best facilities in this world. For instance, Kenyatta. Kenyatta is an institution under national government with a CEO appointed by MOH, Ministry of Health. It's the only institution you should go, walk in, be treated for anything without a question. Emergency services, that is where we should get them. So if anything cannot be done, for instance, in Kajiado, you should be referred to Kenyatta and it works. So I believe that sometimes each of the government wants to be seen doing something, but let's agree the Schedule 4 of the Constitution, provided that there are functions that are left for the governors and the county government. There are functions that are meant for national government.
And when because we've seen the issues raised oftentimes in this country, and of course we've seen governors so many times calling out the treasury because money has not been released. So what is it that as parliament, because you're the people that now come in between, what is it that you do as parliamentarians so that you ensure indeed devolution works? And two, devolution meets the goals for which it was intended. Because at the end of the day, if we keep saying it should work, but the people we entrust to don't do nothing, then we become just part of the problem.
Number one, it is not Treasury that gives counties money. The Constitution has provided that on the shareable revenue, there is a share that goes to counties determined by the Senate. That is the role of the Senate, to determine. So what Treasury does, it just disperses to county governments. It is not national government that gives counties money. And I think that's where one of the problems we have is that people don't understand. When KRA collects all the revenues and they have 1.2 trillion, they have 1.8 trillion, there is something called the shareable revenue. Shareable revenue to county governments, and then the rest remains with national governments. The Constitution says a minimum of 15%. So if 20 or 30 or 35 goes to county governments, it is not the national government giving. They are only dispersing as per the Constitution. Of course, we've had incidences where you see the national government has delayed resources. They've dispersed not maybe on time. And that's why there's an institution called the IBEC, chaired by the Deputy President. And if there is a failure in disbursement of money, blame it squarely right now on the Deputy President, Kindiki Kithure. He's the one who's supposed to intervene. And the institution has governance. IBEC is a constitutional institution whose chair is the deputy president, the chairman of the council of governors, all governors there, the principal national treasury, the national treasury CS. And so if there is a problem, that's the institution you blame. And because everything rises and falls on leadership, like John C. Maxwell says, so if there is no money in counties, ask Kindiki Kithure why there is no money. Because that's his job. The constitution mandates him as the chair of the IBEC to make sure the national and the county government, he coordinates for effective delivery of service to the people.
Okay. And in terms of devolved corruption, you served for 10 years as an MCA. I'm sorry, we have to keep going back because at least we have someone who's gone through that. How much of devolved corruption did you experience in your time of service? Because it's a thing that is raised even by the auditors general.
Two things that I saw in county governments. Number one, the issue of non-payment of contractors, which I can say the monies are set aside, but the contractors are not paid. All across all county governments, I don't know what's the problem. It must be a collusion between treasury in national government and treasury in the county governments. So that you find there's about 2 billion that has not been paid over 3 years. Money that maybe was dispersed but was not paid to the contractors. So where did the money go to? That's number one. Number two, the budgeting process of the county government accrues what you call pending issues. For instance, something that was not done in the last financial year comes along to the other financial year, which means you give priority to pending projects, leaving out new projects. So in a new financial year, you find, for instance, I want to give an example. Across all wards, you have 25 in Kajiado. You give each 30 million. That should be about 1 point something billion. So if they are not done, the rollover comes to the next financial year, which means the money that goes to that ward again is not the 30, it's 15. By and large, you find there's nothing that comes in because you have a lot of pending issues. Now, what's the problem? The control of budget has not been able to put the right check and balance. Because the control of budget is the one who okays, pay this. We are giving you 200 million, pay salaries. We are giving you 300 million, pay contractors. There is no proper check because we have an independent institution called the controller of budget who looks at what was your budget, what are you paying. It looks like there is a collusion between her and Treasury so that the budget implementation process does not reach the expected result. I can confidently say there's a lot of devolved corruption. Governors, county governments are not delivering to their mandate. Not because anybody has denied them resources, but they have diverted resources to other streams that were not originally in what was the budget. Because you see, a budget is easy. You should budget. The resources are here. If you met your target, implement. If you didn't meet, deduct a few programs here and there, but implement what was there. But you can't be that you never achieved your budget 100%. You must achieve your budget either 60, 70, and explain. Remember, even when you have a balance sheet, if it doesn't balance, you create a suspense account and declare and write it down in your cash book and say that this one I did not meet because there was this deficit and the deficit made me not do one or two things. But the situation as it is, I think I'd squarely blame the COB for not being strict to her cause. I saw her once say that, for instance, when President Ruto talked about vaccination, she said there was no money for vaccination in the budget. Now that's what a control of budget should do. She should call out and flag off matters being implemented. When the president goes to a roadside meeting on top of the sunroof and says, I'll make this road, and it is not in the budget, the control of budget should be able to flag off because those are programs that were not in the budget. And there's never an amorphous budget. We have a way of making budget which is called program-based. So you begin with define the program and then do the budgeting. So there's no program without there's no budgeting without a program.
And the supplementary budgets?
The supplementary budget is, for instance, if you budgeted in June it's going to December. You realize I'm not able to spend monies. For instance, I had planned to spend some resources on a certain program. I'm not able to do it. You're allowed to divert that money to another program, or to remove money from a program you're not able to implement at the moment and go to the one that you're able to implement. For instance, you are to make a road. The process of making BQs, tendering, everything probably is not enough. You're able to divert that money to go to a program that you're able to do it immediately and finish up. But remember, it must also go through public participation. So my experience of supplementary budgets, during the end of the financial year, like June, you can remove money from programs that you realize this one I might not be able to do and put it in programs that you're able to achieve more. So if you're doing, let's say, 600 kilometers of road, Maram roads, for instance, in county government, or tarmac, you're about to do 20, you've done the procurement, you can do a variation. Add 15 kilometers of road, and then in between there, you had the resources necessary. You had already procured. It is allowed by law. So it should make you spend your monies within the required time. Remember, monies from this year do not go to the next year. So it is just meant to make it efficient. But of course, based on how government operates, sometimes they want to do, they use supplementary budget now to bring in these programs, the roadside programs that the president talks about. So if he talks about a hospital now, that's where they want to bring it. If he talks about 3 classes, like he does 1, 2, most of the times he commits 2 classes everywhere. So, and you want a whole president doing 2 classes, serious joke. But the real supplementary budget was never about having a program that was not in the budget. It's for effectiveness, for you spending money efficiently at the end of the financial year, at a time that you had, that was foreseen by the program that you have already initiated.
Okay, very interesting perspective, because
Yeah.
how it's done, it's different as you have put it.
Yeah, of course, the current guys, they are jokers. No, nobody's serious there.
Now that you have said they are jokers, you know, you're part of the people that campaigned heavily for President Ruto. And now you're against President Ruto. What happened in between? Because, you know, the citizens trusted your judgment. So should we then hold you accountable?
I must be held accountable. If I was to be taken to court for voting, campaigning for William Ruto, I think I should be taken to court. And I would be guilty as charged. We made a wrong decision. We campaigned for the wrong presidential candidate. UDA made a mistake. We should not have William Ruto as a presidential candidate. We made a mistake. We solely gave him to be the party leader and also our presidential candidate, which was wrong, you know. And I must say that it's a very kakistocratic leadership, you know. It's just wrong. We made the wrong decision. Why do I say so? Remember, I was a follower of the TNA party. We merged to create the Jubilee Party. And then our party leader was Uhuru Kenyatta. Towards the end of his term, we disagreed with him because we thought the deputy party leader who we had, who is William Ruto, it would have been prudent for us to give him a chance to become our leader, to become our president. We went ahead even to try and work it out in Jubilee, which did not work. That was my party. And thereafter, we created a party, the wheelbarrow party, the bottom-up party. That was the greatest mistake we made, to agree that we will be led by William Ruto as president. As a member of UDA, because I'm a member of UDA, I think we had many options. William Ruto was not the best. One, we agreed we'll be a listening government. We will listen to our people. We will want to drive the people's agenda. We do not do that. We are driving agenda of one person. Cabinet, CS Muturi has talked. People in government, PSS, staff, they no longer do what they think is correct. They do what the boss says. The president has become the only person and the only voice that talks. If today he wishes to do anything or any program in the country, now, and I want to take you slowly so that you might understand where I'm coming from. In Kajiado, we sat down at a place called Kokos, came up with a charter and programs that Kajiado needs. We agreed because we are a pastoralist county, we would want to have a proper abattoir by government, get the hides and skin, commercialize it so that people benefit. People who do livestock farming benefit from one, their meat, their milk, and also the hide and skin. We talked about how we'll try and preserve it so that it can be exported. So that we try and establish, we come up with a leather industry through the cattle that we have in Kajiado. Zero resources towards that program. Zero commitment. When the president comes to Kajiado, he wants to talk about programs that were not part of what we talked about. And I'm saying this because you can only give people what they need. Basically, they told us their need is what? Let's improve their milk. They want to sell their milk. They were buying it at, then it was selling about 28, 30 shillings. We promised them 50. Up to date, it's just gone to 34 shillings. Zero commitment towards that program. The livestock for Kajiado for the last 5 years, because of the drought that was there, a lot of cattle, about 2 million was lost. So we agreed as government, we will help people restock their cattle. So we are not sticking to what we had said initially. President William Ruto came, for instance, to Ongata Rongai. We had a 2-kilometer road that was done out of 65. The whole road was 65 kilometers, so 2 kilometers was done. He came at a place called Masai Lodge towards Nazarene University, which is my university. That's where I studied. He comes, he says, I'm coming to commission the 65 kilometers. These were roads that were initially started off by Uhuru Kenyatta. So he came in at the 2 kilometers, flagged it off, and said 65-kilometer road. When he left, all the machines left. He committed in public, and I can give you the video. He said the road will be done in 1 year's time, it will be done. April, actually, I think 3rd of May, it will be 2 years.
And you still have just the 2 kilometers done?
It was left at 2 kilometers from Masai Lodge to Mana Bible College, to Kandisi railway station, to Rimpa, Kiserian, Kahara Road, Oloika, Kamura, zero progress. This is somebody who committed in public. Remember, I'm the member of parliament. He committed that before me and he said, you're member of parliament, we'll make sure this is done.
Why haven't you made sure it's done?
It's not my job to do that. He's supposed to pay the contractor. He's the executive. I only oversight what they do to make sure that they do the right thing. He committed in public that I, as president, will make sure this road is done. That is one program. Actually, that's two, because I told you about the vaccination. Number 3, he comes to Ngong, launches the railway, the light railway from Ngong, Riruta to Nairobi. It's 12.5 kilometers. So he does the groundbreaking, Railway is there, everybody's there. He announces, the contractor says, I want to do this railway in 1 year, 2 months. The president says no, before people, commits. The road will be done in 8 months. The railway will be done in 8 months. It is 1.5 years.
What do you think is the problem?
I think sometimes the president could have a problem of memory. Maybe he forgets. But I again question, why would you, as president, commit before people that I will do this during this duration? I'm sure you must have been advised. You have seen the contract. You are sure there are valid resources. So when he does that, now, actually, I have believed that the president lies. When people say the president is a liar, it is true. Because I am telling you of incidences where he has come to my constituency and committed so. He comes to Ongata Rongai. There is a gentleman there who has built affordable houses, King's Serenity. He leaves that function, comes on the rooftop at Ongata Rongai. He says in 4 months, of his leadership while he's president. Then he was 1 month in office. He says in 4 months, Ongata Rongai will have clean water. We have been connected to the Northern Collector channel, the water from Dakaine. So through Karen, it comes to Ongata Rongai. There's a tank already done, no water. He says in 4 months, the whole of Ongata Rongai will have water. 2 years down the line. Going to the third year, in September it will be 3 years. That water is not.
So as an MP, when these things are promised and not delivered, what is your responsibility? Because you're the area MP.
I have raised the issues in Parliament. Everything I've told you, I have done a writing, asked the question. And what does the nature of Parliament now because the CSs don't come, or rather even if they come to answer question, is that they will give you a feedback. The feedback I've always got is that we have a challenge of resources, unforeseen issues. That's the feedback they always give. But remember, it were better if you'd never talked about it and say you're working on it. But when you commit before the public, remember, this is a UDA president. I am a UDA member of parliament. People would think that we are part of the scheme to defraud them of a right that they ought to have. And we are also elected on the platform that we are, we will be honest people. One of the problems that people had with the earlier government is non-commitment to issues. They say something while they do the other. And that's where we have a problem. Even if we campaign for William Ruto, we'll not allow ourselves to be mudslinged with his lies.
But let me ask, most of the population will question why you're a UDA member who does now, at this point, does not agree with how UDA is run. Why is it for you people as MPs to resign and just go back and maybe get elected on different parties?
Can I tell you something, Sarah?
Yes.
You're aware we don't have an IBC?
Yeah, but we're putting it in place now.
Once it's put in place, we will make the right decisions. Trust me, we will.
Will you resign?
Just hold on. We will make the right decisions. We're just waiting for the commissioners to be in place. We will make the rightful decisions. Remember, Raila Odinga resigned being a member of parliament for Langata and vied on a Kanu ticket. We will make momentous decisions over the leadership of this country. We do not agree totally with what the leader of UDA currently is doing. Everything he's doing, we are not in agreement. When he decides to impeach Gachagua, we are not part of him. When he decides to be lying to Kenyans, we will not be part of him. And even going forward, we will not agree with him on so many things. About the issue of, just wait for IBC to be reconstituted. We'll make the right decision.
We are waiting. It is soon and very soon, actually. Okay, what lessons would you say you've taken as a 2-year term MP? I mean, considering what it means in terms of party belonging, what it means in terms of what you can deliver as an MP, and basically what it means to be a member of parliament.
It's such an honor. You can affect so many things as a member of parliament, especially with the right government. I've also learned that you might wish to do development, but if you get the wrong people at the helm of leadership, it's a big problem. I've also learned a president can lie. The president can turn out to be a liar, continuously and viciously lying. Because when you take your president to your constituency for a genuine government program and it turns out that it was a lie, then it's a bit shameful. I actually apologize to people because that is not me. That is not me. I've never been in such a situation where you commit, or rather a government commits, and what they committed to was a lie. In the last 2 years, I've also seen that when government wants to do, there are things when they want to do, they can do. During the impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua, they were all efficiencies. They were all strategies put in place to make sure he's impeached. That tells you, for instance, like the issue of 2/3 gender rule, which has not been implemented in Parliament. If today Parliament wanted to implement that rule, they can. The Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, William Ruto held hands together so that they might impeach Gachagua. If they wanted to do the 2/3 gender rule, they would also do it. Not tomorrow, today afternoon. So one thing that I have learned is that there is always commitment to what governments want to be done. And what they do not want to be done, they will just leave it. And it's as easy as just ignoring. They just ignore, they just leave it hanging, and it will not be done. About how we run this country, the new constitution was good, but I think there are things that were left out. There are a number of titans that needs to be done, because we should not leave a president or anybody in the executive or leadership should not be left to say one thing and not do and just be left like that. I think there should be consequences. Apart from just not electing them again, there must be consequences of a leader who says something and does not do it, who commits that maybe during the next 6 months I will do the following, and it doesn't happen.
But as a lawmaker, isn't that one of your responsibilities? Because you people are in parliament to represent us. So we as citizens, probably the only thing we count on is the voting, which means we have to wait for 2027. But as a lawmaker, you are in parliament almost every day to make laws. Is there no way that you can come up with a law that would fix that?
I'm looking into it. I'm also being guided. Whatever needs a constitution amendment, whatever needs a parliamentary decision, I'm looking into it. Remember, you have to get a good drafter so that you also get a legislation that is in sync and that is aligned properly within the law. But that's just a weakness, in my 2 years, like you asked, that's one of the weaknesses that I have seen, that there is no accountability tool. When somebody says one thing and they do not do it, we have to get a way to, including myself, to be held accountable over things that we have committed and probably they have not been done. And basically, whether it needs a constitutional change, which might involve people, can be a referendum issue, or whether it needs a parliamentary decision, then that is something I will have to look into. But I would suspect that some of those issues largely would mean a constitutional amendment, whether by parliament or by the public. That would be a different decision.
All right, understandable. So basically, as an MP, you have 3 roles that you're given by the Constitution, which is to represent, legislate, and oversight. Of the 3 roles, how would you self-rate yourself? You can give even the issues, like in Parliament, what would you say has been it's been 2 years. What would the public, of course, maybe we have to go to the Hansard to find out, but what has been your contribution?
Yeah, over all legislations, I always make sure that I have a word on it, on different pieces of legislation. There are some that are basic. I agree, with sponsors, either government or private members' bill. Those ones that you feel that, for instance, if somebody brings an amendment like that, it's on the Basic Education Act, probably guiding on how BOM should be run, how schools should be run, the issue of finances, those ones we agree. There are some we agree, there are some we do not agree. Looking at, representation includes you giving feedback also, giving what are people saying about certain issues. There are some that have been outright on things that I think we should do. For instance, like right now, private schools in my area have raised an issue of putting VAT on school fees. They've said that would affect largely their operations. It would also mean that them increasing school fees to parents. So that is something that I have raised with my chair for the finance committee, Kimani Kuria. He says they are not bringing that legislation, but I think it was a proposal by Treasury to raise more funds. But when you do that, I have about 16 primary schools, but I have 300 private schools. In my constituency, private sector is doing more than public. We have more private schools than public schools. So meaning we should be an enabler. We should make sure they thrive. Once they thrive, they take care of a population that we are not able to take, because we have a large population. Having 134,000 voters is no joke, and a population that is over 1 million within a region. So on representation, mine is to carry the aspirations of my people. When I was elected, for instance, in Ngong, where now we have the government offices, people used to walk all the way or go all the way to Kajiado to get birth certificates. Remember, this is a document that you need to register a child in primary school, in secondary school, for them to sit for the exam. That's a small document. Under my efforts, I was able to bring that office in Ngong. Right now, you don't need to walk all the way. You'd spend about 4,000 shillings from Ngong. A child born in Ongata Rongai, you have to go all the way to our headquarters in Kajiado County. Right now, we've changed that story. So I have, in small and, in my own ways, tried to do what I can and to agitate also for, the new developments, making sure that roads are factored in. Of course, now because we are not in agreement with William Ruto, a number of our proposals are not going through. But my job is to make sure that I get the information where it should be. Because also it's a season, but people will be in power, and power, like they say, it's transient.
And as an MP, because the citizens, and this has been a thing that has been felt across the country, what is the place of MPs and basically leaders to fight for the rights of the citizens? Because I don't think it is right for me to get development based on my support for the president. It is something that's enshrined in the Constitution. So what can MPs do to change that? Because every day you hear MPs say, we've been sidelined because we don't support the government.
Yeah, those are some of the weaknesses that I told you have not been cured by the Constitution. Because as it is, the president can sideline regions that he thinks are not aligned to him, or regions that have leaders who are not aligned to him. That one he can. When you look at the budgeting process, it is the treasury that proposes to do certain programs. So those programs, they can just decide we are doing 1, 2, 3, 4 programs in certain regions. I saw the advertisement of stadiums, the small stadiums, what they're calling the Talanta centers, skewed towards a very specific region in the Rift Valley. Down, but when it comes to our region, zero. And the whole of Kajiado has none. I think we need a systematic way of dealing with it so that it is not just for me, it's for all members of parliament, notwithstanding whoever is in power. You get what you deserve. On CDF, no problem. No problem at all. NGCDF funds run as they ought to run. Fuel levy, the small 22%, that one runs as it is. Where we have a problem is on the national cake now. The monies from the national government that they can decide we are making this road or we are doing this road, that's where we have a big problem. Or we are doing a borehole in this region and not this region. That's where we have the elephant in the house. And listening from a number of members of parliament, it's something that can be cured systematically. You work on a way that things must run. Because in modern democracies, in the UK, you go to the US, when you go to Australia, you don't need to know the president. Actually, there are members of parliament who have never said hi to the president. But they do their oversight, their representative job. They do everything, whether for government or not for government. Because remember, you represent, oversight, and legislate, not for government. You do it in parliament. And either of the ways, that is how a country is built. And even a good country, it's one that has a robust opposition. If you have a robust opposition, that country is headed in the right direction. Checks and balances are guaranteed in parliament. That's true. Where you have people who can see the other side. Nelson Mandela said with the cabinet of 9, he was not happy when he had no one to say no. He was only happy when there was somebody who would see things from a different prism. And I can tell you, given to this government that is there now, that they would not want. Then they would want yes. When you become yes over everything, that they will be happy about. But the future does not hold people who have such positions. We must get contrary opinion, diverse. We must get people looking at things from a different prism. So that you appreciate what could be on the other end that probably somebody else would not see.
Okay. Something else that Parliament has been accused of oftentimes is corruption and dealings and members being assigned some money to even vote for motions. Like you spoke about the impeachment of Gachagua, and several people have said they were paid for it. What's the place of corruption in Parliament?
Just like society, corruption is also everywhere. There are members of parliament without a stand. There are members of parliament who can be bought. There are people who intend to buy members of parliament to make certain decisions. The president himself bought several members of parliament. A lot of money changed hands during the impeachment motion. And it was the highest bidder rate, you know. Some would even cross over towards the last end so that the deal would become even better. And, because I was in parliament, you'd see some of them being called by the president. Then he was in the US. And when he came back, they tried. Even as we were, they called us to different forums. I never attended any meeting. I never met anybody. I just went and voted no to the impeachment because I believed it was not the right thing to do, to impeach a deputy president on fictitious claims. And when you look at some of the interviews the president has had, he says, somebody asked me for 10 billion, but in the charge sheet that Rigathi Gachagua was charged, that was none of the charges. So corruption still has its place. I wouldn't say parliament is clean. But I think, you see, when you choose people with integrity, which at the point of election, you can tell. You can always tell people who can be bought off or people who can buy people off. So going forward, I think Kenyans just need to elect the right people. If we elect the right representative, then in parliament you not have the issue of saying somebody was bought. And also party positions. Party positions are not meant to frustrate people. Party positions must be people-based. You cannot tell me it's the party position to impeach Gachagua. It was never a party position, and it can't be. It can never be a party position that you pick some amount of money to do certain things. And that's why up to date, some of us said no, and we're still within the party. Because the democracy is, we agree, and if we don't agree, let us hold the different opinions. And you will see a lot of that in days to come because you see, for instance, today, how government is being run is something they call broad-based. Some of us don't agree with it because you are supposed to reduce the number of PSS. What you have done, you have increased. You are supposed to run a leaner government. What you are doing right now is including some people in government so that you suffice certain quotas. And by and large, what you are doing is an extra expense. It means the government has been stretched further. Probably not, we had a deficit in our revenues, and it's going to even increase more because your load has increased. By and large, you're creating a loophole. And what happens is that people will lack development and they will be in a crisis. But you see the powers that be at this particular time, if Raila is happy, the president is happy, for now they will be okay. But how about if the new funding model, university funding model is not working? How about the SHA that is not working? Who will talk about it? Before, Raila was talking about fertilizer has been stolen, the price of fuel is high. He no longer talks about that because he's comfortable in government. But the people who are outside government and probably do not know Raila Odinga, they don't know William Ruto, those are the people that then they must find somebody who must talk on their behalf. And you see, nature upholds no vacuum. I want to believe that the next phase of leadership, I thank God that Raila has taken a position. The other people will also do the same. People will take positions. And in 2027, I want to believe that as it is now and with a lot of young people, there's a generation that has to exit for another generation to be in place.
And the position you seem to have taken is with siding with the ex-deputy president Rigathi Gachagua.
The second deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua.
Okay, second, yes, but he's also been impeached, so they impeached. What inspired you to that direction, and why Rigathi?
This was our deputy party leader, somebody I knew. I had worked closely with him. He had come to oversee a number of development projects in my constituency. He was very supportive. I found him also very honest. Having dealt with both the president and the deputy, they were phone call away at that particular time. I found Rigathi being more honest. He would tell me that this is not possible, this can work. Because sometimes you'd go and agitate for issues. For instance, we had an issue, very big dispute of land that belongs to the veterinary farm. And I told him there are people I believe who want to take over this land. This is government land. There are people who are coming in masquerading as owners, but this has been government land pre-independence. Before independence, there was a veterinary farm. And what he told me and how I saw him respond, unlike the president, it was a bit different. And in a number of issues, I could also see that he was getting, you see, for instance, you invite the president to your constituency. One, to come and assess a number of projects that are ongoing. You see, when you have a problem, you have to call the relevant people. Sometimes I'll tell the president, you came, launched a road, just come and see what is not happening, because there's nothing happening. When I told him to come, he was always available. But I would say the president would have, issues here and there. And towards his impeachment, looking at how the country was, I felt that was not the right decision. I also felt that there was a kind of ganging up it looked unholy for me. Because when you ask the people who wanted to move the impeachment, and those ones who came to talk to us, you ask, why are we impeaching? No, the boss can't work with him. But it was not about the boss wanting to work with him. It was about we elected 2 people. They were supposed to deliver on a mandate. What is wrong with us waiting for them to exit in 2027 and then, do your replacement if you so wish to make your replacement? So by and large, I would not, and you see, I can't use somebody else's viewpoint as my viewpoint. If they disagree, it's them. I didn't disagree with Rigathi Gachagua. So the president had a personal issue with him. I didn't have a personal issue with him. And I think I left it at that. I refused on the matters of impeachment. And on future alignment, I believe Rigathi Gachagua holds something good for the country. He's honest, he's truthful. The way he's been fought tells a lot about what he believes in. And, if he was one of those fearful people, he would have resigned and said, let me not be impeached so that I vie for presidency. He said, no, impeach me if you so wish. And I think I like people who stand for something. I think he stands for something.
So now, recently he's had claims of his life being in danger and having attempted assassinations. What's this story? And who would want to kill Rigathi and for what purpose?
The state has attempted to assassinate Rigathi several times. I was with him in Limuru. I still hold my OB number because I reported the matter to the National Police Service. And it's important for people to know that the caliber, my OB number is 32 of the 28th of November 2024. The same day I was attacked at Limuru police station, I reported. So up to date, nothing has been done. And no DCI, no nothing. Remember, my job is just to report. Investigations are done by the DCI. They only tried to arrest Karungo Thangwa, who was together with us, the senator for Kiambu. And they tried also, actually what we call, they hijacked the former member of parliament, Folimuru. But on the TV and on the screens and on the videos that went viral, you can see the people who are throwing chairs, throwing stones. My car was hit. I can even see the person who hit my car on the video. They have not arrested anybody. I can tell you, if this was done to anybody else in this country, this matter would have been. But because it was done to Rigathi Gachagua and his allies, nothing happened. This is the highest form of ignorance on the National Police Service. Who is overseeing it? The president of the country. If I am president today, the National Police Service is not doing its mandate. I have a role on policy. You have a CS in charge of Interior. What have you done? He's never talked about it. The CS for Interior, zero communication. The president himself does not even condemn the violence. A whole president who believes he wants a peaceful election in 2027. Remember the run-up towards 2007. These were the same habits that were happening. Is the president, does he know something that we don't know? Are they planning something that maybe we do not know? And I agree with Rigathi Gachagua. that his life is in danger. I have walked with him in several places I have seen. I went to Shamata. A police officer threw a tear gas to the meeting, to the dais. A peaceful meeting, a prayer meeting. Convened by the MCA, the deputy president was the guest. I was there. They threw another tear gas. I was the other day with him in Naivasha. We went for a prayer meeting. Once we were done, passing through the town, a lot of people were waiting for us. Heavy police officers armed with tear gases tried to block the road so that we do not access where people were. They did that in Naivasha town and in Maimahio. So what is this that they fear about the deputy president, that they have to keep doing this kind of things that they do? And I get worried because now I want to believe it is government sponsoring the goons that come in, because whenever goons are there, the police are not there. Whenever we are attacked, the police does not do anything. Why would the police not do what they're supposed to do? One of the roles of the police is to maintain law and order. There is a private function in a church. Goons come into a church, well facilitated by people in government. You withdraw police. It is suspected that the governor of Nairobi had a high ranking call with somebody from State House and the police were withdrawn. Why would government want to operate like that? Even if they don't like Rigathi Gachagua, even if they have a problem with him, but why would you want to bring lawlessness where there are children, where there are women, where the violence is being emitted to citizens? And even if not anybody else, even Rigathi Gachagua, why allow him to be subjected to such humiliation? What's the intention? And when I see the letter that he has done today, because he has done it to the IG specifically, I'll be looking forward to see what's the response. Because he has not, in 8 incidences, he has done 0. And why did they withdraw his security? Why withdraw his security? This is a high-ranking official. He says his life is in danger. Why don't you give him a bodyguard? Why don't you give him a police at home? These are things he has. Even people who served as CSS, the law says they should still maintain their security for another 3 years because they know a lot of things about government. They have interacted, they've made decisions on behalf of government. This is somebody who sat at the National Security Council. There are a number of security decisions they made on behalf of government. You must protect him. It is in the Bill of Rights to protect life, his life and property. And it leaves us worried about the future of the country, just because you do not agree with the president that violence is now meted towards an individual. I think it's a big shame. It's a big shame. And like John C. Maxwell says, who do we blame? President William Ruto direct. He's the head of the country. Everything rises and falls on leadership. It is during his tenure as president that all these things have been happening. When Uhuru Kenyatta was president, Raila Odinga was never fought by goons. He still had his security. When President Kibaki was president, Raila was not attacked as the opposition leader. Why are they doing this to Rigathi Gachagua? And why is violence becoming a tool of trade? Every function, wherever in the country, the police are not there to maintain law and order, which is their job, and meetings will not end. There will be more meetings as we go on. That leaves us very, very worried about how the president is running the country. And that's why, without any apologies, we are saying Ruto must go. He must go. He must go whichever way. He must go. And they're saying, when we say Ruto must go, we must do it constitutionally. There is no unconstitutional way of removing Ruto. There is only a constitutional way, which is through the ballot. We will remove him through the ballot. We will vote against him. Because of undermining the university education, he must go. Because of undermining the health system, he must go. For impeaching Gachagua, he must go. For running down the Kenyan economy, he must go. For having incompetent CSS and PSS, Ruto must go. And he will go. He must go. And that is the rallying call. And people who are saying that, in the whole country, we're happy about them. That is the route. That is the way. That should be the language. That should be the greeting. Whenever we meet, we should first of all say Ruto must go and then say hi to each other. Because that is the situation. The country cannot continue the way it is. And I think that's the only way to say that we are safeguarding our country for generations to come and for people who will live even behind us.
Have you been targeted for being an associate of Gachagua?
Apart from being removed from committees in Parliament and being attacked there, I have not seen anything else that is to worry. I don't like to raise unfounded fears. Only committees that I have removed and several attacks and maybe being trailed here and there, but nothing beyond that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And for this, your team and people behind Rigathi have been pushing for Ruto must go. Is it a thing, now I'm looking at it on the larger picture, not specifically for Ruto. Do you believe it's time for the young people to take over positions and do away with old politicians? Or are you a believer in the old welcoming the new into the system?
I believe young people must find their space. They must find their space. There's nothing like being ushered in. If you want to lead, come out and lead. If you're young and you feel you want to be president, come in. If you want to be MP, if you want to be governor, just come in and be. And remember, most of the times in leadership, you're never given a position. Unless it is a family position, you can be given. But if it's public, you must fight your way into it. I was elected as a young person. I've been in leadership for about 14 years not 14. Yeah, close to 13 years as under 35 years. So I believe, positions, you come out and take them. The more young people take positions, the better. You just need people with a different thinking. But remember, leadership has nothing to do with old or young. It has everything to do with ideas. You could be old and have good ideas. And we could mean well. Kibaki led this country at an old age, but he led this country well. He ran the economy so well. Ruto is slightly younger than Kibaki when he took over, but he's leading the country in the wrong way. He does everything conflicted, full of conflict of interest. Remember when he was campaigning, he said that we had a problem of conflict of interest. He is the worst conflict of interest. The conflicted person, the most conflicted person in government is him. Because everything that is done in this government is only done the way he likes. Meaning he's conflicted in everything that he does. And in my own assessment, I think a lot of people, we need fresh minds. We need fresh thinking. We need new people with new ideas. That's what is going to change the leadership, whether young or old, but fresh minds. I think that would give us a new beginning.
That will change for sure. You spoke about goons. What is the danger of having political goons in a country like Kenya, looking around what we have seen across Africa?
Let me tell you, what you have in Haiti is a country that has been taken over by goons and gangs. So people start something, for instance, in Wajir. They start something in Mombasa. They start something. The worst thing that has happened to our tourism sector in Kwale is that gangs have been attacking white tourists and stealing from them. Some of the countries have written alerts to their citizens, don't go to Kwale. Some of them have done that to Mombasa. Remember in Kisauni, we have the issue of guns, killing people, maiming people, stealing from them. Now, when you have a political system or a government that has accepted the issue of gangs, what is the threat? What it means that in certain areas, for instance, you come to Kiserian, somebody has goons in Kiserian. So it means nobody else will be able to operate. What are you opening up Kiserian to? Violence. Because if, for instance, you denied me entry into a place, what I will do, I'll force my way into it. I have supporters who don't think the way I think. They don't think peace is important. Somebody else has supporters. They will met on each other. You lose life. The next thing you have is a post-election violence. The worst thing that this government is going to do is to allow goons to operate. To allow people to operate goons registered. And they have people who go with them instead of using police. The security that we should have in this country for meetings is only police. Not allowing people to come with organized people under the influence of drugs. So that when they come, they can do anything. They can talk. They can, disrupt just a meeting from nowhere. And you can tell that habit is very dangerous from even some of the burials that have happened in Western Kenya. A burial that a family is burying their deceased. Politicians come in and the burial is no more. And it is done. that can be the greatest undoing of this country. Remember, law and order is one of the ingredients to a thriving economy. Because once you have law and order, I am sure I can come to Nairobi at midnight and I will leave. A 24-hour working economy can only be facilitated by law and order. Investors who want to bring in their money into this country in different sectors, they want to invest in a country where they know their returns can be. Which country can thrive with goons? It should be safe to be in this country. You go to a place like Rwanda right now, one of the things they enjoy is the security. Some of us who travel to Dubai and everywhere, you know the greatest thing they are selling there is security. You will leave your phone somewhere, come back, pick your phone at the same point. What we have. And you know, the president should be ashamed. When he is president, goons are operating in this country. And you're the chair of the National Security Committee, and you're not concerned. And you know, Craigla gave a very serious report. And he said the ingredients that might bring violence to a country. He said, number one, constitute the IBC 3 years before election so that people have confidence. Let there be adequate preparations. The issue of people ganging up, he mentioned that those groupings are an ingredient to post-election violence. These are things that you do not need to go to certain books and read. You just need, as a responsible leader, just do what is correct. I am the member of parliament. I will have people who might vie for my position. It is not in my interest to know, to make sure that they don't get elected. I should sell, if I am good, let me sell what is good. Let people buy my policies, my ideas, let them re-elect me. But you can't be that you must, you must elbow people for you to remain in office. And remember, you can only be in office for a certain time. You have to leave.
At some point, you
have to leave. You know, for president, it is 10 years. You can't go beyond that. And the constitution is not going to be changed over that issue. It is 10 years. Nobody's going to change that. And they're going to meet Kenyans if they try to change that position. If I'm a member of parliament, it is termless. But you see, you can't be the leader of people for all your life. It must be seasonal. And therefore, we have to think that even if we're out of office, you still need a peaceful country. You want to be home in peace. You want to be in your business in peace. Peace is everything. And I think anybody who wants to undermine peace, that is you don't love Kenya. Anybody who believes in Kenya must believe in peace. You know, let's agree. Let people say what they want to say and let them say it within the constitution. And don't threaten people using arms of government that you cannot say Ruto must go. Why? Why can't we say that? What's wrong about it? What's unconstitutional about it? He will go home through the ballot. And we have given the formula. The strategy is the ballot, is voting him out. And we will call him out over the wrong things that he is doing. And it is as simple as that. And we will not be intimidated. And no Kenyan should be intimidated for saying that Ruto will go through the ballot. That one we have to agree.
All right. The larger African continent, who would you point out as one of or your best leader across the continent, and why?
I'm liking this young man, the military leader of late.
The Burkina Faso one or the Niger one?
No, the Burkina Faso one. I'm liking him because I think he has the interest of his country, though I do not like people who lead. Of course, he came in through a coup. It's not the best practice. I don't believe in it, but I'm liking what he's doing. In Africa...
So for him, you've decided the end justifies the means.
Yeah, I agree with on what he's doing for his country. I think is good. He's doing everything right for his people. Students in the university, he's decided to reward them in terms of job opportunities. He's gotten his country into a lot of farming. And anybody who goes into the route of farming, he means you're trying to make your country food secure. So the guy is doing whatever is right for his country. So looking at, the beginning to the end, I think we have something good out of him.
And the sending away of white soldiers, especially the French soldiers that were based there, American soldiers. What's your take on that?
But what were they doing in that country? What were the white soldiers doing? Because you see why Burkina Faso has had those many problems. It has been claimed that some of those soldiers were up to no good for the country. There were a lot of minerals that were being swindled out of the country using such people. And you see, it was in the honors of the French or the American soldiers to say what they are doing there. So, and like I said, there are a number of things I don't agree with him, but what he does for his country, just like President Trump, I like what he does for his country. He says his country first. Remember when he said no to the Paris Agreement, where American money was being used to facilitate a number of countries, he says no. We also have poor people in our country, so our country first. You see, today, there are Kenyans who are complaining about Trump cutting the US aid and a number of commitments that they have to his country. But remember, Kenya must sustain itself. We can never live begging. We must find means and ways of this country being sustainable on our own. So the Kenyan government should not complain. And the former President Uhuru Kenyatta said it is high time we find a way of depending on ourselves. Kibaki did it. So even the current administration must find ways and means of us living within our budget, living within, and we are rich enough to sustain ourselves. All we need to do is make the right decisions for the country, the people in leadership, and the leaders must take the sacrifices of making sure that the interests and the decisions they make are for the country and not for themselves. Yeah, so I think he stands out. For me, for now, he's the best.
And a democratically elected one, perhaps, for a balance. Not that it matters as much.
For democratic.
Every time I ask someone that question and they think, then I want to understand what is the place of democracy in Africa. If we have 54, 55 countries now, and we cannot pinpoint one good leader, what does it say about Africa?
There's a problem in leadership. But you see, all problems, they gravitate towards a solution. If we don't have, then we have to make ourselves have. We can start with Kenya, maybe. Let's make Kenya good in 2027. Let's get a good president. Yeah, let's elect a good one. Let's agree as Kenyans, we elect a good president. Somebody who can lead the country well. I think we were hailed all over Africa for having a very peaceful election and highly contested, but with an express winner and an unexpected one. The government candidate did not win, which was Raila Odinga. So because our democracy is good, let's do the same in 2027. Let's get a good candidate. Let Kenyans elect a different president. And that way, we'll have begun to show people that we have a good president, somebody who can work, somebody who believes in the country and looks at things from a different perspective. I think that's what we should do.
That's what we should look at.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been following, but Gabon held elections. Yes. And they elected, again, someone who had taken up through a coup.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Is that a good direction for a country? Because again, we do not advocate for coups. But this guy went in as a coup leader, resigned as a general, and decided to...
If you look at the history of Gabon, Gabon had a president called Ben Bongo. And his son, Ali Bongo, came in and also became president. It was so dynastic. I think for 40 to 50 years, the family was in power. And what happened, the military now got a bit... They got a bit shaken and they removed him from power. And these were very rich. The family was a very rich family. When I look at what is happening in that country, it is better that, first of all, they have done an election. Remember, it is not, this general was forced to resign and took over. After taking over, at least they have gone back to democracy. That is good. Whether he will be the best president or how long he stays in power, I might not say, but the fact that they've done an election, I think that's good. The Bongos were a big problem in that country. Even denying people opportunities, I think they were meted with what they had over time been practicing to people. So the fact that they had an election, for me, that's the win for the country. I'm not sure how the economy is running right now. The only thing I know, there's a bit of political stability. Let's see how it goes. Because you see, we can only wish them well, our brothers in Angola. Yeah, let's see how it goes.
Okay. The Trump presidency, you have touched a bit, but what do you think will be the relationship with Africa?
I like Trump. If I was in America, I'd be a Republican. I believe in a number of things that they hold and their conservative attitude. Trump as a president is, I think, is the Kenyan version of a truthful person. He doesn't mince his words. Trump stands for something. I have respect for people who stand for something. Trump doesn't believe in being popular. He believes in doing in what, in his opinion, he believes is right. And maybe because of being a businessman, he remains with the shrewd attitude of saying that if I have to make an impact, I'll make an impact on this issue and I will leave out this one. The beauty of Americans is that the party is usually stronger than the candidates. So anything Trump does, remember he has a majority in the House of Reps, he has a majority everywhere. And it is not Trumps who make the decisions alone, it is the party. The party is still strong enough to make certain decisions, but he's one of the best conveyors of the decision of his party. During his reign as president and now as 45th and 47th president, the party has become stronger than ever, winning seats across the country on different levels of leadership. And I think he also has a sure majority. When he was president last, he didn't have the majority. This one, he has the majority of the Republicans. So for me, I think you see what is on script, what you say during campaigns, keep your words. He said some of the things he said, he's doing it now. He said we will not spend our money in the UN, we will not take our money to the World Health Organization. Good for him. I find Trump one of the best presidents.
Do you think he's going to win the war on tariffs?
I think he's going to win.
Especially with China.
The route he has taken, he will win. It might take a bit of time and resistance, but I think he will win because he has the power. He's the buying power. They only have the production, but they don't have the buying power. They can only produce, he buys. So I think on the tariffs, he will win.
You think so?
I think so.
Very interesting. I like that. Do you think he's going to, we've seen he's been trying to facilitate the end of the Russia-Ukraine war for quite some time. Not that we are on a common ground as yet, but do you think he's going to manage to bring that?
Before, when he was 45th, he tried. It would not have gotten where to is. Of course, the mismanagement of the former president was bad. And remember, the Democrats are war-minded, They like invasion. The Republicans are not that way. So I believe he will help manage. Remember, he's an ally of Putin. So, and also it's America that leads NATO. So most likely they will get a compromise. Of course, the war in Ukraine has not benefited anybody. They have all lost. And what Trump is saying is that we can find a middle ground. And also, as a peace student, I did a Bachelor of Arts in Peace and Conflict Resolution. Once you fight, the next thing you do is to make peace. So you need peace. And they say for lasting relationships, especially in the diaphragm of war, war by itself, the just war theory, war by itself is a means to peace. So it is only when you fight that sometimes you even get lasting relationships and even more founded and grounded. So you might find that this one will become again a better tool for them to be able to relate. Ukraine was part of Russia. So these are brothers, and where they are now is a very small, the fight would have been big, but a very small spark. Actually, it's the US that led them to where they are. Yeah.
Okay, very, very interesting to hear that from you. Did you always know or desire to be in leadership, by the way?
Yeah, from my high school life, I love to do politics. Yeah, I vied first for a civic seat in 2007 on a Kanu ticket that time. Right from high school, and that's how I started my thing.
So you got into leadership 2007 to date?
Yeah, 2027 is 20 years in the course.
Hey, congratulations. That's quite something. That's an achievement.
Yeah.
What is your desire Or what do you view as the good Kenya?
From where I see it, at least I saw the birth of the 2010 Constitution, and I had seen how the earlier system was working when we had just three leaders, the councillor, the MP, and the president. What I would wish is that, one, we have a Kenya that systems don't seem to integrate, and to work very well. This thing of county governments is a very good thing. With a good county government, you can see visible development. When I look at how the presidency is working right now, still very patriarchal, where we believe the president must do this. You must, have a delegation to the president for your road to be made. He must come to your constituency and announce. Doesn't come out well, And if you're born in certain parts of the country, probably being president is not very easy. That's one of the things we need to demystify, that anybody in this country has a chance to drive Kenya to the next phase, and they can contribute in a small or big way. I wish that the next parliament of Kenya has a lot of bright people, whether young or old, but has
Bright in
people.
terms of minds.
Yeah.
Are you saying we have daft people in parliament? Just asking.
So what do you take of people who remove you from committees just because you stand with Gachagua? How do you take a majority leader who removes you from the seat just because you are a friend of Rigathi Gachagua? Is that being bright? Those are jokers. People cannot think the same. We are not born the same. We don't think the same. We didn't go, even in school, we didn't catch the same way. In an examination, we will not perform all of us the same way. So, of course, we have a few dwarfs there, academic one, the likes of Kimani Ichung'wah. You have Silvana Sosoro. Those are jokers. Anytime, those are jokers. Yeah. No apologies, jokers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You just called your majority leader a joker.
You remove somebody from a committee just because they like Rigathi Gachagua.
Isn't that what you people talk about? Party. What is it called? The stand of the party.
So which stand do we have? Because a party stand must be agreed. A party stand is well known. So which party stand did we have?
For UDA.
Just
you have
voting,
to be part of.
Just voting Gachagua out was the party stand?
You actually should be telling me because you're in the party.
You see,
I'm an outsider.
we didn't have a party stand on Gachagua's impeachment. We never sat down and agreed we're impeaching Gachagua. All other decisions we've sat down. We didn't sit down on that one. We didn't make, and I've been a whip of a political party in a county assembly, so I know how to run an affairs of party. You call people, all members, for a meeting. Tell them, we have this matter coming before Parliament. This is the stand of the party. Those who oppose can come up in that meeting and say, no, I will disagree, or I agree. And then from there, now you say, this is the party decision. We never had a meeting. We never sat down. All other decisions, we made them from the State House, most of the times.
So are you planning to join Rigathi Gachagua's party?
I really wish him well. I foresee a situation where a lot of my supporters will be supporting that political party. Of course, we're in UDA for now, waiting for the IBC to sort out what they have to so that we make decisions that will follow suit. I will also be joining him as he launches his political party. Yeah.
So if you were to be a party leader, what would you do different?
If I was a party leader, the party has to be a party that listens to people. Agitate for things that people want. Look at people, look at decisions, and look at people. Because there are no decisions that are made for no people. Decisions are made for people. And I think that's the undoing of this government. When you talk to the payslip holders, there was never a meeting that they were asked how we deal with their payslip, but we dealt with their payslip. As we talk today, the deductions have, since the month of February, the deductions have gone further over the NSSF, leave alone the housing now. NSSF, NHIF, and now, of course, the last one was NSSF, the increment. There was never a meeting for them to give their opinion on the payslip. That's a very serious decision you've made over a number of people, both in private and public sector, affecting their livelihoods at a go in a single decision. So in my humble submission is that you must look at, if I was the head of a political party, I would wish to be the ear of the people, the voice that people agitate for, the voice that people want to hear. You speak what people want, because that's why your advocacy is about talking for people. And you see, a party leader or a party listens to people. In my humble submission, a good party leader is as good as how he listens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your vision for the people of Kajiado North?
We started several programs, having a very big deficit on education sector, trying to expand our primary and secondary schools. I've increased the number from 15. In my first term, I will have made them 17. For the primary schools, that's 2, and for secondary, I'll have added 1. But increased a lot of classes. We've done so many classes. Tried to do what we call story buildings to try and utilize space. Kajiado North being an urban constituency, we no longer have the vast land we used to have. So what we are doing is going up. So we do blocks. We do like 4, 4, 4, targeting to do at least 12 in one unit, so that especially the JSS, what we call the junior secondary school, we are able to accommodate them. So number 1 was on education, to try and make the urban child go to school and go to a good school. Most of our schools now look like private schools because I've done a lot of renovations for them, but I've built new classes. The teaching norm of TSC is that they can't add you a teacher without a class. You must do a class for them to add you a teacher. So they say a classroom, a teacher. So we've had a lot of deficit because of having no classes. Now, because of the increased classes, I am able to get TSC, bring more teachers. So I'm doing more so that also we have more teachers. I have the highest population in Kajiado for both primary and secondary school students. And specifically, because of urban poverty, most of the parents cannot afford to take the children to private schools. The second thing we were trying to do, though has had many challenges, is to make urban mobility, to make sure that we upgrade our roads, not with Maram, but with Cabro or tarmac. I've done a few in places like Kware, a bit of Ngong, Juakali, and Ngong, Kahara. We've tried to do a bit of tarmac, and through even our fuel levy, we do Cabro. Just to make sure that we have urban mobility. Remember, in urban areas, you find people have rental houses, their own houses. Getting home is what is the problem. So if you help them get home, you've satisfied a need, and that's why I'm a leader at this particular point. Also, the fairness of dishing out bursaries. Of course, not me as an individual, but the office that I oversee, the NGCDF office, raising the bursaries from 3,000 shillings to 5,000 per child, which can sustain them to at least a full term in a secondary day school, which is the bulk that we have, a lot of kids in day schools. We've also done what we call food for education. So all my kids take a meal in school for 15 shillings. We negotiated with the Food for Education Foundation. So and this time they don't take githeri, they take rice with peas, rice with beans, rice, at least 3 different meals in a week, and a fruit in between. So with 75 shillings, a child can take a whole week, so 15 a day. So those are some of the things that we've been able to do. And keeping a child in school, getting a hot meal, in urban areas, it's very important, and where they just have to be tapped and then they get a meal. So those are some of the things I've been able to do, and I'm grateful. Of course, more needs to be done. That one I have to confess that there's a lot, especially in terms of employment and people leaving out school, certificates, diplomas, and without employment. It needs a concerted efforts on my end and of course on other players. And I think there we still have a gap that we can bridge. Looking at Kajiado North, it's a small constituency in terms of area, a big constituency in terms of population and growth. It has a lot of growth, high rises and businesses. It's a place that would attract a lot of business centers. Looking at it in the future, you look at it from a place of access, place that has good access. Clean water still remains a big problem, especially for Ngata Rongai. Siwa is the worst. And I forgot to tell you that the president promised Siwa in his 2 years of administration, and zero has happened, leave alone a visibility study. Siwa is the next big problem that has to be sorted out, because if you want people to have clean water, provide Siwa. Remember, if you don't treat Siwa, diseases and waterborne issues will come up. So those are some of the things that I foresee. And given a chance, are things I would want to sort out. Probably in my next 5 years, that's an agenda I would want to carry and make sure that it comes to a close.
That means you still want to run for MP?
I think being in the National Assembly for me is a good place to serve. I've been in counties, though as an MCA. For now, I do want to serve in the national government.
All right, fantastic. Your closing remarks to our audience and Kenyans at large.
First, thank you, Alpha, for having me.
You're always welcome.
To Kenyans and all over, we might not have had the best start because we brought you William Ruto. We accept the mistake. We are sorry for presenting to you William Ruto as a good president, as a honest president. We thought so. But to our surprise, we've had a president who lies, a president who's not honest. We are ready to correct the mistake. And where I come from, the culture says a mistake is only a mistake when it's repeated. So I don't intend to repeat the same mistake. I will not be presenting to you William Ruto as the presidential candidate. We need to get a president who can move Kenya from where it is, and somebody who believes in this country, somebody who's not conflicted, and somebody who does not lie. Because the greatest threat to our democracy today is a lying president. Given a chance, we want to offer Kenyans an alternative in a democratic way, in a peaceful way, and to make sure that Ruto will go home. That we can commit. And again, my apologies for bringing to you William Ruto. And like the Catholics say, it was my sin, and I have confessed that it was our problem to bring William Ruto. Thank you very much.
Mheshimiwa Ngogoyo, thank you so much for coming through. I am laughing because I'm a Catholic and that's very familiar. It has nothing to do with President Ruto on any personal level. But thank you so much for coming through and sharing with us. We appreciate your time so much. And at least I believe the people of Kenya have learned a thing or two from you. The people of Rongai Kiserian, I hope I presented to you your MP. If he works, give him a chance. If not, please do send him home as early as 6 a.m. Because all we need are leaders who work for the people, sure, and not who are masters of the people, yeah? Mm-hmm. So thank you for coming through. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next episodes.